So Bob, we just talked to Paulie. So give us a couple comments about what you've seen from him, his progress or lack thereof, or what do you think of Paulie?
No, he's getting better and better. Um, he's starting to rebound the ball better, particularly at the offensive end. He's of our bigs, he's the best low post scorer we have.
You need that, right?
Bad. Yeah.
JB said after Akron, two things that you've been working on: rebounding, transition defense. Where are you now where you weren't 12 days ago?
Well, we got a lot more to work on than that. I mean, we're trying to. They run some, and Greg always has some. How do I say it? Unconventional things that are really different looks, and I thought it was really important that we kind of learn where they're coming from, and then we're trying to continue to get better in what we do. But I didn't. I mean, if we've worked really hard on rebounding, I missed it.
So these guys do a lot of quick hitter stuff.
I don't know necessarily quick hitter. They're probably. I don't know if they'll try to do it against us, but against the teams that they've played against to this point, they've ISO'd a lot. And really kind of really whoever they think has has an advantage. It's I don't think it's one particular guy. I think it's more whoever they feel like they can take advantage of.
But Martin, pretty good player.
Mm-hmm. Very good player. They've got good players. Greg does a great job. They've got transfers. They've got some JUCOs. They've got some high school kids that came in that are. Seems to me like they're getting better and better. So.
Interesting that you're going against a guy that's coached about as long as you have.
Well, we've known each other for a long time. I mean, he was doing what I was doing when I was at Walsh College, and what he's done at Oakland is remarkable. And we went in there. I was at Cincinnati. I think we played in Detroit one year, and in a tournament, and we went in there to get a workout in, and it was old, and the place they got now is really nice. I mean, he's done a great job. I mean, he's spearheaded a big upgrade in facilities, and he does a lot of charitable things in the community.
Be that there that long, that's pretty remarkable. Mid-major too.
Yeah, I mean, he likes it though. I think it's a place that he's really comfortable in. He likes living there. He likes the area. I was trying to continue to move and go higher. That's why I left Akron. I liked Akron. I love Canton. So,
And you didn't like Green.
no. Well, like a lot of things, you don't. Sometimes you don't like what goes on either.
Bob, at this point, how much do you know about your team? How much do you have to play games to really sort of get the final feel of how good you are or aren't?
Well, hopefully, I mean that was kind of what that we tried to do with the scrimmage, and we were really bad. I think we were better against Akron, but we didn't sustain anything, and that message I think has came across to them loud and clear. I think we're doing a better job finishing practices. You generally the way you practice, the way you play, and we've started out pretty good in practice, and it's tailed off, and it's got worse as the time went on, and that's kind of what happened in the Akron game. Well, we score 4 field goals in 15 minutes or something like that. Hard to win like that.
Are you figuring this team out? I mean, go back and you look. You've won a lot of games because you figure things out pretty quickly. Are you struggling with this team, or are you getting a better feel for what you want them to do and what they can do?
We've been very inconsistent. I'm a lot of that's my fault. I've thrown a lot of things at them because I want to see what we can do and what we can't do. So we've thrown a variety of defenses to try to see how they reacted in those. We've changed some things offensively to see how they react to those, but that inconsistency may have led to their inconsistency. But I think, as time goes on, I think they'll become more accustomed to what we're trying to do, and hopefully we'll be capable of doing more than just a couple things.
You feel good about their cumulative IQ, basketball IQ? Be able to do some of the things you want to do?
I don't feel very good about anybody's in today's age, to be honest with you. It's a different deal. I mean, it's a totally different deal. And it should be. I mean, it should be. The guys today are so much more athletic. They're so much bigger, stronger. They have all the facilities and wherewithal to be able to do that. It didn't happen before.
How about relative to the teams that you're playing today?
Wow, most of those have what we have. That's why when I came back here, I spent time talking to Eddie, trying to say, hey, we need to upgrade this if we're gonna be able to compete with the people that we have to compete with, and to Eddie's credit, he was great.
What about the basketball IQ relative to the teams that you're playing today? Do you feel good about them being able to handle the things that you're throwing at them?
Well, I mean, it's the longer we do it, the better they're going to understand it. It's kind of like you walking into some foreign language class and expecting you to walk out of there, a day or two later and be able to speak the language. You have a hell of a hard time speaking English, so I mean, it'd be tough for you. I understand that, but no, I mean, it takes time. I mean, it really does. It takes time.
Gian was saying that Keegan, I guess, has recovered from the whole bump in the face thing.
Well, yeah, and then he landed on his. They have them little things in there that monitor everything, that their heart rate and their heartbeat and like everything. Well, somebody at Nike came up with a great idea. Let's put them in the back of the shorts, because they were wearing them around their arm. And of course, our luck, he falls right on it. You got, yeah. I mean, so that little thing kind of.
You expressed your displeasure at losses quite openly. The Syracuse loss, how this past March, how did that hit you as far as the off-season went and drive you towards this season? Plus, what does it rank like? I mean, you've had all different kinds of losses. Lost to West Virginia when you were at Cincinnati, the Kentucky loss, it was the Gonzaga loss. You tasted getting beat badly in close games and tasted 900 wins too.
Well, the bad losses was a result of a lot of other things that went on that had nothing to do with basketball, which I don't want to get into because would not look good for some people. So let's leave that alone. Syracuse loss was hard. I mean, but we had some guys that didn't play the way they had been playing, and I don't, I don't know. As long as I've been doing this, I don't know what you do. I mean, think about when we got beat the first round of the tournament by a mid-major at best, and they dominated us. We just didn't want to play, and I don't, Bob, I don't understand the why, that things like that happen. It wasn't, and I mean, we weren't good in practice either. We weren't good in practice for a couple of days, and I kept saying, "Hey guys, man, we're gonna turn this up. They're better than what you're giving them credit for being," and they never did. And really, most of those guys were gone then.
Good that those guys are not because of who they are or what they did, but that's not gonna weigh on their minds in any way. And I mean, you only got like what, three guys left from there.
We live in a world where everybody thinks they're better than what they are, and that makes it tough. I mean, you look at all the people who put their name in a transfer portal thinking they were going to go somewhere higher or bigger because of they thought they were better than what they are, and look at the number of people that are left in the portal. Look at the people who continually put their name in. Every time I get these things, I think Jay Kuntz did it, but it like regular bell rings on my thing when I get that somebody has as a result of declaring for the NBA draft and not taking their name out on time, is now trying to negotiate with the NCAA to get their eligibility back. But they were sure they were pros, and we just live in that world, and we live in a world where we're constantly trying to talk to people about reality, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard because you got so many people on the outside, and then you got a bunch of wannabe agents and those kind of things who are trying to sell the fact of what they can do, and they know this person and they know that person, and they'll be able to get them into this deal or that, and then it never comes to fruition. And so, you fight so many things on the outside, and kids talk. Hey, I got this guy that said he can get me, to here, and then they're like, oh man, maybe I ought to talk to him. And it's just, and you can't. It's hard to fight because a lot of times you don't even know who they are. I mean, we've had guys running around here on campus that I had no idea who they were. I mean, the ones I know, I can kind of chase off, but if I don't know who they are, and there's agents everywhere. I mean, we're stupid not to think that there's not a bunch of agents, waiting to prey here from Pittsburgh or Cleveland or Youngstown or Columbus or wherever, and they do, and they prey on those kids, and it you can kind of tell because they totally change their attitude and their approach, and everything totally changes. That's hard. I mean, that I think is one of the hardest things that we have to deal with in today's world. And that there were times when, I tell this all the time. Kenny and Martin walked in my office and he said, "Hey, Coach, I got these people telling me that that I can go like 14th in the draft or something like that." I forget exactly what he said, but it was something like that. And he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, I think if you come back, you'll be the first pick in the draft. I mean, you've made that much progress, and if you continue to work the way you're working and tell those people to leave you alone, and then you and I deal with this, I think you could be the first pick in the draft." And because he and I had, I guess, that close a relationship, he said, okay. He walked out and never said another word about it until, he unfortunately broke his leg, but he was still the number one pick in the draft. And I'd like to think I know more than what those clowns know that are telling these guys all this stuff, but I'm not telling them. I'm not telling them the same thing they're telling them. It's not as appealing what I'm telling them.
Probably not what they want to hear.
Well, no, they don't want to hear it. They don't. Nobody wants to hear you've got a long way to go. You've got to, get in and work on this and work on that, and they want to walk out and think that. And it happens everywhere, every day.
James Okonkwo, because of injury, is going to redshirt. Have you decided? Is anybody else going to redshirt? You going to hold anybody out starting tomorrow?
I don't know. I don't have to decide that for a while.
Curious with the way you've got things structured. You had whatever it was, 12 days from Akron to this block of games coming up. You got 2 in a row. And you got another 6 days before you play again. Is that by design to give you time to digest and absorb what you got and tweak things, or has it just worked out that way?
Josh does the schedule. I mean, he runs it by me, but Josh really does the bulk of the scheduling. No, it's believe it or not, John, most people really don't want to play us. And they don't. And they know that there's a chance they could get beat pretty good. And I mean, if you think about particularly like when we were Press Virginia, we had a heck of a time getting games. Nobody wanted to play against that. And this group, I think, because nobody knew really who we had. You know, I mean, we had like that core of 3 or 4 guys, but the rest of them were kind of out there. So they didn't know whether we were going to be really, really good or really bad, or nobody knew. And so instead of chancing the unknown, we had a hard time. Honestly, a lot of the games we're playing are because of relationships I have with people, over a long period of time.
I mean, Greg goes and plays everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
You look at who he plays everybody early.
Well, he has to. I mean, that's when you're playing at that level, when you rely on the guarantee, and that's not excuse me, that's not just Greg and Oakland. That's a whole bunch of people.
But has this been helpful for you to be able to fix things that bother you? I mean, I know you got a quick turnaround with Pitt coming up on Friday, but you're going to have some time between Pitt and when you play Elon to work on things and fix more things.
We had no control over that.
Okay. So
We have absolutely no control over that because that's an ESPN event,
Gotcha.
and they tell us when to play.
So just the way it falls.
It's the same way with the majority of our games now. Excuse me. When you're on ESPN as much as we are, they tell us when to play. We don't tell them when we want to play. And unfortunately, my guys at ESPN are retiring. So now there's a new group coming in. The guys that I had, I mean, like, we were telling a story. We're all sitting in a room, and it comes on that the Gonzaga thing. Yeah, somebody wasn't going to play. I pick up the phone and call, and Mess can tell you we had a game scheduled in about 10 minutes, didn't we? If that, yeah. But now it's kind of, they tell you when to play. They tell you, okay, we have, we've got a opening here and here. Do you want them?
That's why Pitt's Friday night then?
Yeah, 100%.
That's the slot.
100%. Where are you going to play it? Are you going to play it on Saturday in football?
Football, NFL, yeah. Monday. Then you're back up on the tournament on the weekend. Gotcha.
Joking.
You were talking about Adrian, is he going to be able to play limited, or how does that affect your point guard rotation?
Keaton's a tough kid. He's had a bad ankle sprain. He's had a bunch of stuff happen. He just, his hand was, he's playing with one hand for a while. Wish he kind of, in a way, hurt the right one. Then he could dribble and pass better left-handed. But no, he's played with a lot of stuff.
You're pretty much health-wise, everyone's pretty full go for tomorrow. Obviously, except for James. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some twisted ankles and guys falling down, getting hit in the head a little bit or something, but nothing bad.
How about scoring close to the goal? You getting any closer to where you want to be there?
Mm-mm.
Still.
We've had one guy who has kind of maybe separated himself from the rest of them. you talk to him today, because those is the it's I sit there and it's hard for me not to like either blow a gasket or laugh at him. How you think you're gonna make a shot if you never look where you're shooting it?
Everybody does that now.
Oh, it's incredible.
Watch every
So
game, everybody does that.
so the ball's there, and so you're looking down at the ball, and then all of a sudden you want to get it off before they block it. So now and you don't see the ball until it like goes over the rim on the other side, and then it's like, dang, no, not dang.
So the guy that's getting closer, is he looking at the rim when he's trying to shoot it closer?
John, I think you have to want to be really good to be really good. And I know I probably told you guys this story. Danny Fortson was kind of crotching it, hit between the backboard and the rim, and not getting it over the rim, and I got two football tackles to come in and take the pad and hit him with the pad. So, and contact will bring the ball down. When you go to score and you have contact, it's automatically going to bring the ball down from where you think you shot it. And that's why you see so many of those shots are short, because the contact just makes the ball come down. So I got Danny in there, and then Danny said, "Coach, we need to get another guy." So he had 3 guys. And then he ended up with 4 guys because he wore them out. I mean, he wore them out. But, then the flip side of it is he's like the second or third leading rebounder in the country. He's getting 20-some a game, and he's first-round draft pick. But it wasn't because he sit on his ass and didn't do anything. I mean, he worked, put time in, cared.
That's a whole lot for the football team.
Well, they weren't very good back then. But with a Danny Fortson, you could get any of these guys you want here, and he'd knock them on their ass. I mean, he was the real deal.
Bob, I've sat here listening to you for a little bit.
I've been sitting here admiring your hair.
Kindred, right? You've not given me a ton of optimism, right? It just seems like you're grounded early on, and understandably, I guess. But all the things you don't think you can do, you're not sure about. What is good? What do you think you can do? Where do you go from?
Well, I can tell you what I was hoping would be good. I was hoping that Taz, Sean, JB, Isaiah were shot it very consistently, because then I thought we could really spread people, and then we could get some easy ones. We could get it to the basket and not had the lane so congested. And my hope was that, and because those guys put a lot of time in this summer, I was hoping that they would be very consistent making shots. But as you saw in the Akron game, we were not very consistent making shots.
Taz
Taz was, yeah. But I mean, we take Taz out, he doesn't play. But what he set out, missed 18 minutes or something like that. But in those 18 minutes, we scored 4 goals, which means those other guys weren't very consistent. And that's why I've always tried to get somebody who could score it close. Bob, your thing about the Syracuse deal. I mean, we all know. I mean, Derek didn't play well, didn't want to play well, whatever, and he's the guy who we depended on to be able to throw it close to. We didn't have anybody else. And so you think about all the games that we threw the ball to Derek, that Derek scored or got fouled, or scored and got fouled. And we don't have a Derek now. And we also don't have a guy like Derek who gets hard rebounds and and whether he scores it or throws it out to someone else or goes to the foul line, he was capable of getting really hard rebounds. We don't have that right now.
You alluded to Paulie. Do you have enough time with him? He looks like a guy that, had he been with you for 2 or 3 years, he could be a lot further down the.
No, he'd be the first one to tell you that. He'd be the first one to, because he said it to me, Coach, if I had been here, instead of been in these other places, I think I'd have been really good. I mean, he's shared that with. I mean, he knows. Most of them know. It's not just a matter of knowing, though. It's a matter of doing something about it. And it seems really, really easy to fix not looking at the rim, but it's not. Obviously, it's not, because they struggle with that, man. Struggle.
He was telling the story about how he didn't even really begin playing basketball until like the 11th grade or whatever. So I'm guessing when he was in high school, he probably didn't even know about it, right? So
I didn't know about him until one of the guys has kind of helped him, who I've known for a long time, called me and said, "Hugs, I got one for you." That's the first time I knew anything about him.
probably when he was at DePaul or something else.
Well, he sent me a bunch of tape on when he was at wherever he was. Was he at Manhattan? Yeah. He sent me a bunch of tape on that, and then sent me some DePaul stuff.
Seems like Paulie's a bright guy. A guy that absorbs things.
He's supposed to be. He's supposed to rival Taz as the best cook on the team as well. See, that's something people don't know, John. There you go. That's why I threw it out there for you.
How's your cooking?
Sucks. Those guys are good. Those guys really are good.
You're gonna whip up something. What would you whip up?
Scrambled eggs.
Daughters would say, "Dad, that's good."
I'm really good at scrambled eggs.
All right, Hugs.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.